So we had the press conference and face-off for Anthony Joshua versus Carlos Takam earlier on today. Both guys just going through the motions, really. I mean, Takam's very experienced. Joshua not as experienced as Takam, but he's certainly been in big fights, in tough fights. So this will feel run-of-the-mill to him as well. Takam obviously a hell of a lot shorter than Joshua. They say that Takam is 6'1", 6'1.5". I mean, I don't know, maybe 6 foot. He looked very, very short next to Anthony Joshua, I can tell you that. Very short indeed. But then again, you don't know what he's standing on or the shoes they're both wearing and all that kind of stuff. But it is incredible that as short as Takam is compared to Joshua, he's going to weigh about the same. Takam is just built like an absolute tank. You know, Joshua's a very muscular guy. Takam is even more muscular than Joshua. It's incredible a guy that size being that short, you know, and it's all muscle. This guy is not a guy who carries a lot of body fat. I also saw his public workout the other day, and yeah, he looked like he was in decent condition. Maybe he did an extended public workout on the pads because he wanted to prove that he was in good condition. He has been training for several weeks. He said in some of the interviews that he's done that he was training anyway for another fight when he got the call up to take on Joshua. So hopefully he's in, you know, decent cardiovascular condition to be able to go however many rounds this fight goes. I've said before, I'll say again, just to reiterate and make it clear for the case. I believe Anthony Joshua is going to stop Carlos Takam. I'm not completely discounting the idea that there could be an upset. Stranger things have happened in boxing. But being shorter than Anthony Joshua is one thing. But without a speed advantage over Joshua as the shorter man, you're really going to struggle. Or at least a skill advantage. Takam has neither. Takam is not the most skilled fighter, and he's certainly not the faster fighter. He's not faster with his hands or with his feet than Anthony Joshua. That's a problem. You know, you look at the old Mike Tyson fights, Joe Frazier, you know, these were short guys who would come in and they had hand speed, especially Tyson. And even Frazier had decent hand speed, faster than a lot of his opponents. And he, you know, come in bobbing and weaving as well. He had decent foot speed. Tyson, very fast foot speed, very fast hand speed. So being so much shorter and smaller than a lot of his opponents, okay, it was a disadvantage in some aspects, but he also managed to turn it into an advantage by tucking up small, making himself difficult to hit, moving his head, etc., and just being very fast compared to his opponents. Whereas Takam here is shorter and slower than Joshua. So I just feel like he's going to be a target. The only thing is, if he can manage to keep his chin tucked away, employ some head move. I've seen Carlos Takam attempt to move his head in certain fights, but because he's so heavily muscled, it requires a lot of energy to move his head consistently. So his head movement doesn't tend to last that long when he does employ it. But if he can keep his chin tucked down maybe and, you know, not catch too many bombs from Joshua, maybe he can go some rounds. I'm interested to see what his tactics are going to be. If he tries to box on the back foot against Joshua and counterpunch, because he tried to do that even in the very early stages of the Joseph Parker fight, I think that's a massive mistake. I think if he tries to do that, Joshua's probably going to bomb him out early. He needs to keep his chin tucked down, move forward, try go to Joshua's body maybe. Move his head, be careful of the uppercuts. Joshua's got very good uppercuts. We saw what he did to Dylan White with an uppercut. So, yeah, I hope it's a good fight while it lasts, but I can't see anything other than an Anthony Joshua win. And I might be in the minority in thinking that Kubrat Pulev would have been a more difficult fight for Joshua. Pulev might not be as physically tough as Carlos Takam. He might not come down, you know, with his head low and apply pressure and all that kind of stuff. It might not be as entertaining. It might not have been as entertaining as a Takam fight will be. But Pulev's technical ability, I think, would have given Joshua a bit of a puzzle to solve for a few rounds. I personally believe that. Maybe we'll find out down the line if that fight ever takes place. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Anthony Joshua, Carlos Takam press conference and face-off. And yeah, one thing which was quite funny, just to close out the video, is the fact that Takam blatantly speaks quite good English, but for some reason, he had this interpreter there, and the interpreter speaks worse English than Takam. It's like, what was he doing that for? What was he going through an interpreter when it was blatantly obvious that he speaks perfectly good English, better English than his interpreter speaks? You know, some Mexican fighters I've noticed do that. They can speak very good English, they understand it, but they refuse to talk it at all. I don't get it. You know, if I could speak a different language, I'm not going to go to that country and start speaking English. You know, I'm going to speak that language to those people. It just makes things easier. Why am I going to start going for interpreters and all? I don't know, weird. So yeah, let me know how you feel, people. Sorry, it's happening. I'm out.